Hello, hello. Hey there, travel boss. Welcome back to the Passports, Profits, and Pixie Dust podcast, the podcast where we talk about building a travel business that gives you both the income and the freedom you deserve. I'm your host, Lindsay Dollinger, and I am so excited to dive in today's topic. So here's the irony that I know so many of you can relate to. We get into a travel business or maybe just any business in general in order to be able to travel, right? Because we love traveling. But how many of you find yourself chained to the laptop instead of exploring the world? Or feeling like when you go on a trip or you go on a vacation that you have to be working or checking in on people or, keeping up with social media, all those things. Yes, I'm raising my hand if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching the video, but you're probably raising your hand as well, right? Especially like I tend to attract women who are really driven and you're hardworking and maybe a little touch of a workaholic because you have big dreams and you have big goals and you want to make such a big impact. So we get to figure out as much as possible how to best set ourselves up for success, especially when we are traveling. Again, whether you are just traveling and it has nothing to do with your business, or if you are a travelpreneur, a travel agent listening to this. So I'm going to give tips and advice for both of these things. And if you've been around here for a while, you know productivity is one of the things that I love the most. So I'm so excited to dive in. So I want you to imagine this. You are on your dream trip to Bali and you are sitting on a gorgeous beach with crystal clear water. You are, though, getting dings on your phone because you have a client emergency because their flight got canceled, or because they can't get logged into something, or because a client of theirs, maybe if you're like a service provider or a coach, a client of theirs has done something and they don't know how to respond and they need your help. And you haven't already set up systems and strategies and boundaries with your clients. So now you are sitting there, you are stressed out, you are sweating because it's hot, because it's Bali and it's beautiful, and you are completely getting ready to miss this sunset happening right in front of you because of this. Definitely not the dream that you are living, right? Like definitely not what we imagine when we are going on these amazing trips and adventures. Or heck, it doesn't even have to be all the way to Bali. Like maybe you're just away for the weekend in your cabin and you're stressing out about different things in work or your business. So hopefully that experience, or that if you haven't experienced that vision, is going to be a wake-up call for you to realize that we need some serious systems so that our business can run on the go if we are going to get to enjoy travel yourself. So let's transform how we operate. And today I'm going to share my top productivity hacks for running your business or your travel business from anywhere in the world. And by the end of this episode, you're going to have actionable strategies to streamline your operations, leverage technology effectively, and create reliable systems that work whether you're at your desk or exploring a new destination. So let's dive in. I have 6 different umbrellas of tips that we're going to dive into today. And I am kind of looking at my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. All right. So first tip is that we get to really solidify our mindset and our planning foundations. So before we get into the tactical stuff, we need to talk about mindset, because let's be honest, running a business while traveling isn't going to be glamorous, and having the right expectations for what that's going to look like is going to be key. So first of all, let's bust the myth of the perfect work-life separation while traveling. I see so many Instagram posts of laptops on the beach suggesting this dreamy working vacation lifestyle, but let's be real. Sand and laptops aren't going to mix, friends. If you've ever tried to do that, or maybe even not even on the sand, but I know I've taken my laptop poolside, anyone who's posting that they're on their laptop poolside is either straight up lying or they have amazing eyes, because that glare makes it impossible to see your screen anyway, right? But the reality is that successful travelpreneurs aren't going to aim for perfect balance each day. Instead, they're going to think in terms of intentional imbalance. So some days, perhaps depending on the length of your trip, and let me just preface that by saying, like, if you're gone for 2 days or 3 days or maybe even a week, if you want to take a complete step back from your business, you're allowed to do that. That is the beauty of being our own boss and being our own entrepreneurs. If we have these system set up ahead of time and we have, let our clients know, I'm going to be off the grid. Here's what you do in case of an emergency or of a problem. Like if you have those sorts of things in place, great. I'm talking maybe about like a longer trip, or maybe you do want to work a little bit on your trip so that you don't get overwhelmed. Or maybe you have like a client with I don't know, a 50-person wedding that you helped plan in Mexico. You might need to be on or checking some things during this. So I don't want you to listen to this and be like, okay, what she's saying is that I have to be working on my vacation. No, not at all. I'm thinking more of, travel is more your lifestyle. You do want to work. Maybe you need to work, maybe even for your day job, you need to work a little bit. That's what we're talking about here. So some days are going to be focused on business. Some days are going to be you're going to get to be fully present for your experiences. And some days are a mix, kind of like business in general anyway, right? I know I have days that I take off for my business. I hope you get to, and you do that as well, just for your own mental, well-being. Some days you're really fully present and some days you're really not. And some days are a mix, just like that when you're traveling. And what's been game changing for me is shifting from measuring productivity by the hours I work in a day to the outcomes I achieve in that day. Same thing when I'm traveling. I don't ask myself, did I work 2 hours today or 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day? Instead, I ask, did I complete one critical task, two, three, whatever my goal was, tasks that move my business forward that needed to get done that day. And here's the freedom paradox that took me a really long time to understand. The more flexibility you want in where and when you work, the more structure you actually need in your systems. And it sounds counterintuitive, right? But it's absolutely true. So let's talk, for example, pre-trip planning, because this is where the magic happens, right? And so I like to use what I call my 3-2-1 pre-departure system, and it saved me countless headaches. So 3 weeks before I travel, I'm focused on strategic planning and delegation. I look at my client load, I identify potential hotspots and make decisions about what needs to happen before I leave versus what can happen when I'm gone. This is also when I brief my VA or my team members or colleagues who might need to cover for me in my absence. Maybe you have someone at your travel agency that you need to let know, hey, I have these 3 trips traveling in case I'm on a plane or on a cruise or unable to be reached. I passed on your number to them just so that they can reach out to you in case of emergency, something like that. 2 weeks out, I focus on client communication and expectation setting. So I look at who has upcoming trips, who's in the research phase, who might need something while I'm gone. For my membership, for example, I let my membership women know that, like, hey, I won't be on calls. I'm not going to be answering questions. I'll respond to them when I get back. Same thing with my mastermind. I purposely worked my Monday call so that it does not happen while I am on spring break on my Carnival cruise. And I proactively reach out and let everyone know my availability. And it's amazing how clients are going to appreciate this heads up and will often front load questions or just plain, they'll write them down while they're gone and send you a message when you get back. Because most people, if you have done a good job of putting this in place and letting people know that you do have boundaries and expectations, they're going to respect your boundaries and expectations. And if not, we get to talk a little bit more about attracting our ideal clients, which we will more in this show this year. 1 week before departure, I'm all about my systems checks, contingency planning. I test my tech setup, make sure all my apps are updated, confirm my international data plan is active if that is something that I have gotten. All these things that are going to be stressful to handle last minute. And then that's my 3-2-1. Basically, in a nutshell, that's how I plan for everything in advance. I make sure social media content is already done for honestly, even like the 2 weeks after I get back. My podcasts are all uploaded. My emails are all scheduled out. So everything, like nothing needs to be done as soon as I get back. Okay, let's talk about actually when you're traveling. Time blocking is going to definitely look different when you're traveling if that's something that you use. And so instead of having the same schedule every day, I like to create a flexible framework based on the type of trip that I'm on. So for example, if you're in the travel space, you might be familiar with what's called a FAM trip. A FAM trip is basically where you are going and researching and getting familiar with the different hotels or locations that you're selling. So if you're on a FAM trip, I like to block 30 to 40 minutes each morning before activities start and get an hour in the evening for a client check-in and any urgent matters. Anything else gets scheduled for when I return. Same thing if I am away at a conference, I do the same sort of schedule as like a fam trip where I have a little bit of time where I'm checking in on urgent matters, but I'm not like sitting there scheduling out my social media or planning like my next live launch or anything like that. For personal vacations, I might block every third day as like a mini work day with a few hours of focused work. But for the most part, I'm going to be completely free from business tasks. And the key is to match your activities to your location. So if you're staying in a beautiful resort with great Wi-Fi, that's a great time to schedule a Zoom call if you need to, or, to even get caught up on things or to post a reel if that's what you want to do. If you're going to be on a safari with spotty connectivity, that's probably not when you want to plan on sending out a proposal for a trip, for example, right? So, all right, as long as we got the tech down, let's talk about setting some client expectations because this is huge. I have found that clients are going to be incredibly understanding about your travel if you communicate proactively. The key word here is proactively. So just send out a simple email about a week before you're out saying, I'm excited to let you know I'm going to be XYZ, researching new properties in Italy, attending a cruise conference, taking some personal time from, and then list the dates you're going to be gone. Here's what this means for you. And actually, guys, I usually list a couple days before and a couple days after. One, because I don't want to have to be doing anything the day I'm getting ready to leave, right? Or the day before, because I'm going to be busy with my own personal things. And same thing when I get back. I'm going to be playing catch up, answering things in my inbox, resting, laundry, all those things. So allow yourself a little bit of buffer on each of those. Here's what this means for you. This is continuing that email to your clients. I'll be checking messages daily, or maybe not at all. I won't be checking messages. A lot of times I say I'm not going to have access to email, especially if I'm going to be on a cruise or international. But you can say I'll be checking messages from this time to this time and put the time in their time zone. You can say for urgent matters, you can reach me at this number. Only do that though if you actually want to be reached. And then if your question isn't time sensitive, I'll provide a detailed response upon my return on X date. This is actually one of those times where your travel industry expertise is going to become a business advantage because you can always add a line like, I'm looking forward to bringing you fresh insights to enhance your future travel plans. This is going to remind your clients that travel experiences will ultimately benefit them in the long run. Okay, so that is tip number 1. Tip number 2, let's get into your tech stack and your digital tools. So having the right digital tools is absolutely essential for running your business on the go. I'm going to share what's working for me right now, but remember the perfect tech stack, so to speak. So the perfect tech for you is the one that you're actually going to use and use consistently, and one that, kind of becomes counterintuitive to you that you don't really have to think about using. So at a minimum, a location independent travel business needs these core components. You're going to need a mobile friendly CRM, a product management system, reliable communication tools, secure document management, and financial tracking that works on the go. Now, some of these, especially if you're not traveling too much, don't necessarily need to be quote unquote on the go. Like I don't need the financial tracking on the go because I'm not a digital nomad. Like I can wait and check different financial things when I get back home. So let's break these down. First, your CRM should be the command center of your business. For travel professionals, I personally use TravelJoy and I can use it on my laptop. You can look at it from mobile, but it allows me to access all my client information that I might possibly need, and it's all in one place. And the game-changing feature for me in a CRM specifically and in TravelJoy has been that I have been able to set up email templates within it for common scenarios. So for example, when a client asks about travel insurance when I'm sightseeing in Rome, I can quickly click the template that I already have up there about travel insurance and send a professional detailed response in seconds rather than typing it all out at once. The other thing that I love about this is, gosh, I just love so many things about TravelJoy, let's be honest, but I have all my templates set up and scheduled when they go out based on when a trip is and where a client is in their trip journey. So all of it, not all of it, 90% of the emails that need sent out and the things that I need to do are automated and sent out whether I'm on the trip or not. So the only thing that I really have to go in and do is apply payments. So those either, and I'm going to plan this out ahead of time, are going to get done before I leave on my trip, or can wait and be done after the trip, right? Okay, project management. If you've been around for a while, I love me a Trello board. I don't even know how many Trello boards, like 60 at this point, to organize all my things. But I also use Google Drive for a ton. And Google Drive and Trello both have apps that you can use on your phone, but they both allow me to visualize my entire client booking process. So I create a board for, different trips or different things that I am planning with cards for every step on the journey from inquiry to post-trip follow-up. And I can basically drag, clients through the pipeline while I am awaiting in airport lounges. Let's see what else. So communication tools are going to be obviously essential. So beyond the basics like email and messaging, I have found that Loom or YouTube can be invaluable for maintaining that personal touch with clients while on the go. So I have videos that are saved in my links that I can send out for different commonly asked questions if needed. The mobile apps on both of those are good quality, or you can jump on quick video calls. But let's be real, I'm not really doing video calls. I'm not really doing client calls on the go. But if you are, don't forget that a quick, video call, especially like a Zoom, can be really easy to do from your mobile device. Okay. If you want to go into the financial pieces of things, there are different apps, if you were not aware, that you can scan and digitize your receipts on the go. I just kind of wait and do that when I get home, but there are tons of apps. I can't think of the name of any off the top of my head because I don't use them personally, but honestly, I probably should. So you can take pictures of your apps. It can send it to QuickBooks. If you are QuickBooks users, I do know that that is an option as well. And then the last thing that I like for my business that I have on the go is just either my reminders app or my notes app. So I can put anything that I'm thinking of, content ideas for my trip that came up, or things that I want to do when I'm back, quote unquote, working full time in my travel business, when I'm back from a trip. Use your notes section on your phone, use your reminders on your phone. That is with you all the time, and it can really save you a lot of time. And if you're like me, help you not to forget things. Okay, let's talk about productivity hack number 3. Create systems that run without you. I am a huge proponent of this. If you have been around on the show for any amount of time, you know this. So let's talk about creating systems that can run without your constant attention, because this is what's going to give you true freedom to travel. The first step is to identify which tasks in your business are repetitive and can be automated. So I like to track everything I do for a week. If you have never done this activity, I have it basically looks like a spreadsheet, but it's like an hourly breakdown. I track everything I do for a week, and I try to do this once a year and see, where is my time really going? What am I actually spending my time on in my business and outside of my business? Where can we, tighten things up? And what are the 20% of my activities that are creating 80% of my results? One of the big things that can take your business to the next level is this level of self-awareness. And to have this level of self-awareness, you got to do these sorts of activities and find this data. So once I find the 20% of activities that are creating 80% of my results, those are the tasks that I keep doing personally. And then the rest of those tasks become candidates for automation or delegation. So start small with automation. Choose one repetitive task that's eating up your time. For me, it was sending up follow emails after initial consultations. So I created an automated sequence that perfectly sends timed messages after I tag a client as consultation complete in TravelJoy. This alone saves me hours each month and ensures that no potential clients fall through the cracks while I'm traveling, or even while I'm not traveling. Because let's be real, clients fall through the cracks even when we are not traveling. Client onboarding is another excellent process you can automate. So when a new inquiry comes in, my system automatically sends a welcome email with a booking process, collects initial travel preferences through a form, adds their information to my CRM, and schedules a follow-up task for me. And then it will send me an email that has been complete and that it's time for me to, go ahead and get quotes ready. What can this look like for your business? If you're not a travel agent, for example, what could this look like if you're a coach, a service provider, you're booking people on your podcast? All of these have things you can automate in your system. I guarantee it. Marketing automation is essential for staying visible while you're exploring the world. I batch create content before trips. Heck, I batch create content even when I'm not going on trips. Loading it into my social media scheduler with posts and stories and engagement prompts. I set up my email newsletters to send automatically, and all these things are going to keep my audience engaged without requiring my daily attention. The other thing that I do is I send all that to my VA so she can help me do all of that as well. And a hack I love, while traveling, I create content in real time, but I don't feel pressured to post it immediately. That's a huge hack. So I save these authentic moments to my content bank, quote unquote content bank, so AKA the photo app on my phone, and I schedule them strategically over the next few weeks. Sometimes I will post things real time for sure, but it's also nice to have a bunch of things already, like the B-roll in your album so that you can use it later. Okay, if you haven't heard of an SOP, which stands for Standard Operating Procedures, this is going to sound really boring, but they're going to be really transformative for your travel business. So basically, this is just a documented step-by-step process for how you complete regular tasks in your business that essentially you can hand off to a VA. And I really wish I would have done this, honestly, before I hired a VA because it took me so much time to write all this down or record videos of what these looked like for my business. But now that I have them and I was able to pass them off to my VA, this has helped so much. One, her take over the tasks for me, but she sees exactly kind of my process and what's going in my brain as I'm doing these things so that these tasks get the same amount of attention and the same quality of attention as if I were doing them, and I don't have to be the one doing them, which is really kind of exciting, right? Okay. And last piece, well, while we are talking about the delegation piece, you simply can't do everything by yourself if you want the freedom to travel. So start tracking your time for a week and identify tasks that don't require your expertise, are repetitive, and that you personally don't enjoy. And these are prime candidates for delegation. And if you have ever read the book Buy Back Your Time, he goes through these really, really well. I'll put the link for it in the show notes. He adds even more, but this is kind of like an overview of tasks that you can start delegating. But he will talk about, when to delegate, who to delegate first, all those sorts of things. So if you feel like you are ready for this piece in your business, highly recommend that book. But going back to those three kinds of tasks. Common tasks that travel entrepreneurs delegate are going to include initial inquiry responses, research for standard destinations, like newsflash, you don't have to be the one doing all the research, social media management, like I already mentioned, and administrative work, like commission tracking, sending out emails, maybe replying to emails. Maybe if you have a Facebook group or community, that community engagement is something that you don't necessarily have to be the one doing. Virtual assistants can be fantastic for travel businesses, but clear communication is going to be essential. Like I mentioned, created short training videos for each task that I delegate, showing exactly how I want things done, how I do it, and walking through my thought process as I was doing it. I also provide templates and examples to show what, good quality work looks like. The key to successful delegation while traveling is going to be a consistent check-in. So I already have a quick video call on Zoom with my VA once a week. So, maybe we just do a WhatsApp check-in while I'm traveling. If I'm able to, I'll still hop on that call if something really needs done. But those quick check-ins allow you to be on the same page so that you both are more productive. Your VA is giving you the quality service that you want and you deserve and you're paying for, and it leaves both of you happy at the end of the day. And this system has worked really, really well for me. Okay, tip number 4, connectivity and tech troubleshooting. So let's talk about staying connected while you're on the go, because nothing derails productivity faster than a connectivity issue, right? So for international travel, I've tried it all. International data plans with my carrier, which is Verizon, local SIM cards, portable Wi-Fi devices. And here's what I've learned. There's no one size fits all solution, but playing around and figuring out what works for you is going to be crucial. So for trips under 2 weeks, well, honestly, the one that I prefer, even though it's more expensive, is just to use my international carrier plan. Currently for Verizon, they have a plan. They do have the $10 a day plan you can activate. If you're going to be gone more than 10 days, though, they have a plan currently at the time of recording this where you can get your same phone plan for $100 a month internationally. I think it's your same plan. It might have some limits on data, but it's a lot cheaper than the $10 a day. This is not going to be the cheapest option, but the convenience of keeping my same phone number for client calls and texts for my family, for my dog center back home is all worth it. I have gotten a local SIM before. It's called Airlo eSIM. I'm going to be honest. It was a little bit over my head. It was a lot harder than it seems like it was going to be. I was constantly worried that it was going to switch over to my Verizon data or that I was doing something wrong. And the only place I used it was in the Azores in Portugal, and it did not work. It was super slow. And I don't know if that was because of the towers in the Azores. But anyway, I had my backup connectivity plan at the time. So, play around with it, maybe talk to some other people, maybe dive into that and research that a little bit more because it would be a lot cheaper if you could do that. Also, though, I just tend to, use the Wi-Fi at hotels or, a cafe wherever to connect. Now, I will be on a cruise in a couple weeks. Usually, the cruise Wi Fi is not the greatest from what I have heard. I did pay for it on our Disney cruise, which they have since upgraded their Wi Fi on the Disney cruises since I have been on them a couple years ago. I have not yet been on a Carnival cruise, but I've heard the Wi Fi on Carnival is really, really great. And then I have also heard mixed things about Norwegian, which I will be cruising with them in the fall. AML Waterways is one that I have heard has really good Wi-Fi. So maybe just kind of ask around in some groups to hear how the Wi-Fi is if you are cruising. But cruising is like its own special, its own special thing when it comes to being connected. One thing though, ahead of time is use your cloud, especially if you have Apple devices, use that cloud synchronization across your devices so that you can do a task on your laptop and continue it on your phone if needed. And just make sure your essential business apps are going to be installed on both devices. Other thing with that, battery management. I know this sounds, obvious, but nothing's worse than a dead device when an emergency hits or a client emergency hits. So I always travel with a high capacity power bank that I can recharge my phone multiple times in a day and then remember to recharge it overnight. Okay. So I think that's it with the tech piece. Segment number 5, creating productive workspaces anywhere. So, working from anywhere sounds amazing, but reality is not all spaces are created equal when it comes to productivity, right? We all know that already. So, I've refined my portable office down to the bare essentials: laptop, phone, noise canceling earbuds if I need them, and a small power strip that is able to turn on or able to charge my laptop and my devices. So, this is for your airports, your hotel rooms. Actually, my sister is usually the one that brings this, and we plug it in and we're able to plug in all the things and share one plug, which is really awesome. So let's talk about what this can look like in your hotel room because sometimes this can be take a little bit of creativity. So first thing, if you need to do a little furniture rearrange, that's totally fine. Move your desk near natural light, open the blinds on your windows, use the ironing board as an adjustable standing desk if you really need to in a pinch. Have a little, if you can, like small Bluetooth speaker. Now, these aren't allowed to be brought anymore on a lot of the cruise ships, just so you know, but not for music, but just for some better quality if you're on a client call. Hotel room lighting is going to be really bad lighting in general. So sit in front of that window if you can. If you have a small foldable, is that a word? Foldable? Foldable is a better word. Like an LED light, like almost like a little ring light that you can clip on your phone or your laptop if you're going to need it, if you're going to be on some kind of video. That's going to help you look professional no matter where you're at. And then if you're working from a cafe or public space, this is where you're going to want those earbuds. I always say that wrong. Earbuds, AirPods, earbuds, whatever, in so that you have good sound, so that your conversation isn't all over the place, right? And so that you're able to work around other people and they're not going to mind if you stay for a while. A productivity hack that I love when I am in an environment like that is I like to create a work trigger that signals to my brain that it's time to focus regardless of my environment. So this could be like a specific playlist that you have. Maybe you put a specific like essential oil that you dab on your wrist. But maybe if you start doing these things ahead of time before you start traveling, these are going to be those consistent elements that tell your brain, hey, it's work time, even if you're in a new location. For traveling companions, whether this is families or colleagues, make sure you let them know what you're doing. So put the do not disturb sign on, the door, or give them a heads up. Let them know that you're in deep work mode and that questions should wait. They shouldn't really interrupt you unless it's like urgent, right? And putting these simple boundaries in place, like I just will say to my sister, like, hey, I'm getting ready to do a live. Hey, I'm getting ready to record a video. Hey, I need to, hop on this call really quick. Totally fine. She doesn't care. The other thing with this to keep in mind, time zones, especially if you are traveling internationally, keep these in mind. Keep your world clock on, the widget on your phone home screen with your home time zone, client time zones, whatever you need to do, and confirm that it's in the other person's time zone if you're hopping on a call. And use those calendar invites. And when you're using calendar invites for things, specify the time zone in them so that there's no confusion. People aren't hopping on calls and thinking that, you need to be on in the middle of the night or anything like that. No misunderstandings when we plan ahead. Okay, last piece, friends. Work-life integration for travel entrepreneurs is so important. You have to create boundaries that allow you to actually enjoy your travel while keeping your business running smoothly. I feel like the longer I talk, the harder it is getting right now to use my words. This is a little longer podcast than normal podcasts of mine. If you are new here, don't always go this long. So I appreciate you for sticking around. But this one's probably the most important one. Set those clear client boundaries before you leave, before you maybe even plan a trip, but explicitly communicate. When are you available for calls? What is your expected response time on different communication channels, and what's appropriate? Like, do you want them sending you a Facebook message? I don't want my clients Facebook messaging me. I know that. What constitutes as an emergency that warrants immediate attention? Maybe on the weekends. I have read a lot lately in different travel agent Facebook groups, that clients are messaging them, wanting them to do a price adjustment on a Saturday night, and they're mad when people don't respond. Like, heck no. So what are your work hours? Who can people contact if they need assistance while they're available? And what is an actual emergency? I've learned that clients respect boundaries when they're clear and consistent for the most part. The key is differentiating between a true emergency and something else. So if it can't be solved with money or won't significantly impact their experience, it can wait until my next scheduled work session. For a true client emergency, I have a dedicated text number and specific instructions on what information to include so I can resolve issues quickly. By setting this up in advance, I maintain control over interruptions while still providing excellent service. Managing your energy, not just your time, is essential while traveling. So map out your most mentally demanding tasks to your peak energy time. So for me, that's like mid-morning. Client proposals, strategic work happens then, while simpler tasks like processing emails might happen in the afternoon when my energy naturally dips. Travel fatigue is real, and fighting it just leads to inefficiency. So build in recovery days after long flights or intensive destination exploration. On these days, focus on those tasks that you don't really need to think about a lot about, or take a break. Remember, you're allowed to take a break, then forcing yourself to get through complex work when jet lagged. So do not be that person who's pushing off their stuff, who you have just flown all night to Italy, you got crappy sleep, and now you have to put together a trip for someone to Hawaii for a group of 50 because you're going to miss out if no. Get it done ahead of time or let them know. I'm so excited to work with you. I will get with you as soon as I get back from my trip, or I will get with you in a few days after I have recovered from jet lag, because I want to give you the best experience. People are going to appreciate that. I promise. The reality of being a travel entrepreneur is that personal and professional experiences are going to often blend together. So having this like dual purpose trip framework to intentionally manage this blend in mind can be great. So pure vacation. On a pure vacation, client communications only during specifically scheduled times with someone else handling a true emergency, or you are handling just emergencies only. If it's a work trip, clear line between a work day and a vacation day, okay? Or your experience days. And then a fam trip, focused note taking during the experiences, work time blocked off before lunch and dinner, but also taking time to enjoy yourself. For content creation during personal travel, I also like to set very specific boundaries. So I might dedicate 20 minutes each morning to capturing content and then put the phone away later to be present. I really try to put the phone away to be present after I do the little bit of content that I'm doing. And then later, during a natural downtime in the afternoon, I'm resting at the hotel, I'm sitting at the pool on the cruise. Maybe I'll spend 30 minutes organizing and scheduling that content. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do it when I get home. Preventing burnout requires intentionality. And this is the thing that I really want to encourage you to try to avoid as much as possible. I've learned to recognize my early warning signs myself. I get irritable when I see client requests come through. I'm maybe dreading checking my email. I'm feeling resentful of having to work when I travel. When these appear, I immediately implement my minimal viable business protocol, which is handling only essential client needs and postponing everything else until I've had proper rest. This is a practice that's been transformative for me and my business. And I really encourage you to really use that self awareness that I talk about a lot to realize what you need, what you really truly need on your trips. And then don't forget, schedule your buffer day after returning from travel before jumping in 100% full force back into client calls and your business like normal. Use those days to, process emails, organize notes, content from your trip, transition smoothly back into work mode instead of just like jumping in guns a-blazing. All right. That was a lot. We've covered a lot of ground today, from mindset foundations to productivity on the go to the specific tech tools that make it all possible, creating systems to run a business without you, maintaining boundaries that protect your travel experiences, and then remembering to have some fun and to take a breather and to avoid burnout. All of those things are going to help you be more productive pre-trip, on trip, post-trip. So here's your action step from this episode. I want you to conduct a quick productivity audit of your business. What's one repetitive task that eats up your time that could be automated or delegated before your next trip? Identify that task this week and create a plan to get it off your plate so that we are prepared, so that we can do these things leading up to our next trip and have a more enjoyable experience. So in the show notes, I've included links to some of the tools and resources that I mentioned today. And I have links to some of my new travel freebies as well. Next week, we are going to continue talking about ways that we can improve your travelpreneur business. And if you found this episode helpful, I would love it if you would share it with another travel entrepreneur who would benefit from this. And friend, don't forget to get your ticket to Purpose, Profits, and Pixie Dust Live. I want to give you a giant hug in person. I want to help you with all of these productivity and system tools that I talked about on the show today. I want to help you with your social media. And it's not just me, it's amazing other speakers doing that as well. We just have so many great things in store for you. I want to see you there, and you can practice some of this, with your business, with your productivity, with your product. What am I trying to say right now? You can apply some of these productivity hacks that I just shared when you travel to Ohio to be with me at the Purpose, Profits, and Pixie Dust live experience. So friend, I appreciate you. Thank you. Sending you all the love. Go out there, create and own your magic.